It's not by chance that you're viewing this video. There's a reason you're here. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Trust the timing of your life and know that you're being led to where you're meant to be. As you stumble on this video, perhaps not by chance, it will serve to awaken your spirit. You are standing on the edge of something sacred, having walked for years through valleys, shed silent tears, and waited patiently while others seemed to rise and thrive. But the truth is that God has been preparing you for such a time as this, and what is coming your way now is not merely a blessing, but a full outpouring of love, favor, wealth, healing, and peace, all flowing towards you at this very moment, signaling that the wait is finally over. Let us now break this divine release into 7 powerful chapters so that your soul may fully comprehend the profound depth of what heaven is orchestrating in your life. However, before we dive deeply into this revelation, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, for this message is not merely content, but a divine announcement and prophetic confirmation that your season of waiting has come to an end. And if your spirit resonates with this frequency, type 77 in the comments right now. That number is not random, but rather a sacred code that signals to the Most High and the heavens that you are aligned, awake, and ready to receive the outpouring already assigned to you. However, not everyone will complete this message, for only the truly chosen, those who remain steadfast until the very end, will receive clarity, divine alignment, and the spiritual keys necessary to unlock all that has been stored up for such a time as this. This is not something to be watched only once, but rather a living word and divine revelation that will continue to unfold with each return of your spirit to it. Therefore, rewatch it as often as your soul leads you, for every time a new truth will arise and confirm what heaven has already declared, that your wait is over and your overflow has just begun. Let's begin. Chapter 1. You were hidden, not because you were forgotten, but because there was a divine purpose at work, one far beyond your present understanding. There were seasons, long, silent, and aching seasons, when you questioned whether heaven had gone quiet. You did your best to remain faithful, to walk in love, to serve with humility, to extend kindness, and to keep showing up. Yet, despite all the light you poured out, life seemed to keep you in the shadows. You watched others being chosen, celebrated, and elevated. You cheered them on with genuine joy, even as your own soul whispered a quiet, aching question. But what about me, God? That question was never a complaint. It came from a sacred place within you, a deep yearning not merely to be acknowledged by people, but to be seen by God Himself. Let this truth now speak louder than every doubt you've ever carried. You were not forgotten. You were not overlooked. You were not rejected. You were hidden, intentionally, purposefully, for divine reasons far greater than anything you could yet perceive. Chosen one, understand this with your whole spirit. Heaven hides what is holy, for God does not expose what He is still preparing. And you, yes you, are a vessel that carries glory, a level of sacred weight that could not be rushed, for you were not ignored but rather being refined, not as a form of punishment, but as an act of purposeful protection. God hid you from the spotlight because premature exposure would have invited unnecessary battles. Certain platforms would have crushed your soul. Some relationships would have distracted you from your destiny, and particular successes would have pulled you out of alignment with who you truly are. So yes, the doors didn't open because it was God Himself who kept them shut. And what you once called isolation was, in truth, divine insulation. For God insulated you from voices that would have confused you, from circles that would have changed you, and from environments incapable of holding your light. You were not meant to fit in, but were designed to stand apart, set apart rather than set aside. And in that hidden place, God was working deeply, silently, and faithfully, cultivating endurance in you when no one was watching, stripping away ego, pride, and people-pleasing from your spirit, training you to hear His voice alone rather than the applause, opinions, or algorithms of the world, and anchoring you firmly in your true identity rather than in any image. Because what you are about to walk into is weighty, requiring deep-rootedness, unwavering maturity, and, most importantly, spiritual authority, the kind that can only be forged through seasons of wilderness and silence. For had this blessing come to you back then, it would have either crushed you or changed you. But now you are ready. Heaven knows it, hell fears it, and this is the moment when everything begins to shift. You are not emerging from hiding because of social media strategy or self-promotion, but because you are being called forth by the voice of God Himself. This is not a self-made moment, but a heaven-orchestrated unveiling, as you are being revealed not for show, but for purpose, not for attention, but for assignment. And though you will be seen, it will only be because your light is undeniable. And though you will be recognized, it will be solely because your spirit carries something this world desperately needs. And you will be elevated, but only because you were willing to remain low when God asked you to, even as others counted you out simply because they could not see what heaven was doing in the dark. So let them talk, let them wonder, for they will soon come to understand that what appeared to be silence was actually sacred preparation. And what seemed like delay was in truth heaven's perfect timing. And now God is declaring, "Come forth. The waiting is over, the veil is lifting, and the revealing has begun." Chapter 2. Heaven is releasing what has been stored up. And chosen one, you must understand something powerful. Heaven has a memory. Every tear you cried, every lonely night you endured, every moment you chose integrity over instant gratification, every time you gave when you barely had enough for yourself, none of it was wasted. For you did not merely survive those seasons, you sowed into them, and what you perceived as loss was, in reality, seed. Because God does not forget faithfulness, even when the world overlooks you, when people fail to recognize your value, and when no one applauds your quiet obedience. Heaven keeps a record of every prayer you whispered in pain, every act of love you extended despite exhaustion, every time you said no to temptation and yes to purity, and every moment you chose kindness. All of it was recorded, counted, and stored. And now heaven is releasing what has been stored up specifically for you. This is not merely about receiving what you deserve or about justice alone, but something far greater, a divine reward that comes only after seasons of surrender, a reward that can be released solely when your character is strong enough to hold what God is about to place in your hands. And now, having proven faithful with little, heaven is prepared to trust you with more. The floodgates are opening. Yet this is not a random breakthrough, but a strategic, supernatural release. For you are not simply walking into blessings, but stepping into overflow. God is pouring out not just provision, but vision. Not merely money, but mission. Not only love, but alignment. And not just open doors, but divine appointments. While people may look at you and think it happened overnight, you will know that this blessing is the result of years of invisible obedience, born from the times you stayed when it would have been easier to leave, from the moments you forgave despite every reason to be bitter, and from your willingness to release what was comfortable in order to remain aligned with what was holy. Let this truth settle deep in your soul. Your name is being mentioned in places your feet have not yet stepped, for your spirit has already gone ahead of you, and heaven is orchestrating divine connections, causing the right people to find you, favor you, and bless you. Not because you begged, but because you believed, because you trusted God when there was no visible evidence. And now He is placing evidence everywhere, as wealth is being transferred to you. Not merely financial wealth, but also wisdom, generational healing, and spiritual authority. God is restoring what was stolen, repairing what was broken, and revealing what was hidden. And you are not being rewarded with just enough, but are being entrusted with more than enough because God knows you will not simply keep it for yourself, but will use it for His glory. Furthermore, the opportunities coming your way will not be forced, but will feel natural, easy, and peaceful because they are divinely timed. So you will not have to chase, prove, or perform, for the blessings will recognize you and locate you, as what is yours by divine right can no longer be withheld. This is the season when things begin to make sense, When delays reveal their true purpose, when closed doors start to appear as divine protection, and when prayers you had forgotten you prayed return to you in tangible physical form. Heaven is releasing these blessings, not because you are perfect, but because you remained positioned, faithful, and teachable, and now you are ready. Chapter 3. The delay was the setup for divine timing. And chosen one, how many times did you cry out to God, wondering when your moment would come? How many nights you wrestled with the silence, questioning why everything seemed to move forward for everyone else except you? Not because you sought fame or chased clout, but simply because you longed to step into the purpose burning within your soul. Yet, despite that burning, the doors remained closed. The phone did not ring, the breakthrough failed to arrive, and in that space of waiting, doubt tried to creep in. But now you are beginning to see that the delay was not denial, but divine development. And you were not being punished, but rather positioned. Because real blessings, the kind that last, transform, and elevate, cannot be rushed, as they are crafted in divine time, not human time. God knew the weight of what he was going to give you, and he understood that it could not land on the old version of you, the version that still needed validation, that might have settled out of loneliness, or misused the platform and mismanaged the resources, because that version would have merely touched the blessing and lost it. Whereas God did not want you to just touch the blessing, but to carry it, sustain it, build with it, and bless others through it, and bless others through it. So God took his time not because he was ignoring you, but because he was investing in you. While you were waiting, you were growing, being strengthened in the quiet, matured in the delays, and refined in the fire. Though it was neither easy nor quick, it was necessary. Because that relationship you cried over did not work out, as you were not meant to shrink or fit into someone else's insecurity. That job that ghosted you was not rejection, but redirection. And that opportunity that fell through was not bad luck, but God's way of saying, I need you to be stronger to carry it. And now you are not the same person you once were. Having been through crushing trials without folding, having faced silence without giving up, and having endured the waiting without becoming bitter, but instead becoming better. Heaven is rewarding you accordingly, and this release into which you are stepping is no accident, but was already written with an appointed time, now, and God is never early nor late, but precise, intentional, and strategic with your soul. And now that your heart is healed, your discernment sharpened, and you no longer require the applause of others to feel worthy, he is unlocking what has been waiting for you all along. You will begin to notice the sudden alignments, the doors opening with ease, the connections that feel divine, and the overflow that starts without warning. And although it may seem like it is happening quickly, remember that this has been years in the making, not because heaven was holding it back from you, but because it was holding it for you. Therefore, breathe, chosen one, and release your frustration, for it had to take this long, since what is coming is too significant to be rushed. Chapter 4. What you lost is being restored sevenfold, chosen one, for loss has a way of cutting deeper than words can ever describe. And you have lost more than most people will ever know. You lost people who swore they'd never leave, opportunities that once looked like your breakthrough, seasons of joy, time you can never reclaim, and energy you spent trying to hold together things that were already falling apart. Some of those losses came suddenly, while others broke you slowly, and in the midst of it all, you found yourself wondering, God, is this where it ends for me? But here is the holy truth. Nothing you lost went unnoticed by heaven. Not a single tear, not a single betrayal, not a single closed door escaped God's view. And while it may have looked like it was over, it was, in fact, only the beginning of a supernatural restoration. Because what you lost was never the end, but rather the seed. For in the kingdom of God, loss is not final. It is foundational. And every heartbreak, every failure, every disappointment planted something deep within the soil of your spirit. And now, in this divine moment, those seeds are sprouting. For although the enemy thought the loss would break you, God has used that very loss to build you. And now the restoration is not returning in the same way it left, but multiplied. Because when the thief is found, He must restore sevenfold. Proverbs 6:31. And everything the enemy tried to steal, your peace, your reputation, your momentum, your joy, God is restoring with interest. Meaning that sevenfold restoration is not merely about breaking even, but about divine payback and spiritual reparations. So you are not just going to feel better, you are going to be better. You are not just getting the job back, you are being elevated into your purpose. And you are not just getting love back, but stepping into relationships that carry divine alignment and protection. You are not just being healed, you are being made whole, with your scars transformed into strength and wisdom. And that person who left you, that moment you thought had broken you, that storm you barely survived, none of it destroyed you. Instead, it revealed you, showing you who you truly are, what you genuinely carry, and, most importantly, who your God truly is. And here is the divine reversal. You lost what was temporary, what was matte. But you are gaining what is eternal. The temporary applause has faded, the fake friendships have been removed, the surface-level success has been stripped away. But in its place is coming peace that endures, love that truly heals, wealth with divine purpose, impact that extends beyond your lifetime, and an identity so deeply rooted in God that you will never again question your worth. Chosen one, your life is about to become undeniable proof that restoration is real, that God keeps every one of his promises, especially the ones made in your tears, and that he does not merely return what was lost, but resurrects it in glory. For while you thought you were finished, God is declaring, I'm just getting started. Chapter 5, your name is being lifted by the Spirit, chosen one, not because you asked for the spotlight, schemed, manipulated, or sought to promote yourself, but because you remained quiet while others were loud, served faithfully while others chased recognition, kept your head down, your spirit clean, and your hands pure. And now, something is shifting in the atmosphere, and your name is rising. Yet this is not fame, not clout, not worldly hype or artificial status, but rather divine elevation, the kind that only heaven itself can orchestrate. You did not chase it, and yet it is coming to find you. You did not knock down doors, and yet they are opening. Not because of who you pretend to be, but because of who you truly are when no one is watching. Chosen one. And this is what happens when favor finds you. For when God begins to move, nothing and no one can stop it. No smear campaign, no hidden jealousy, and no demonic assignment can cancel the divine calling placed upon your life. They tried to overlook you, downplay you, and discredit you. But heaven saw the truth. Heaven saw your obedience in obscurity, your choice to love when it would have been easier to hate, your willingness to forgive what others would have sought to avenge. And now, heaven is lifting you in a way that no man can take credit for. So humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and in due time, he will exalt you. 1 Peter 5:6. For this is your due time, chosen one. And here is the mystery. You did not have to announce yourself because heaven had already done it for you. There are people speaking your name in rooms you have never entered, opportunities circling your life that you did not even ask for, and hearts being drawn to your spirit, not because of your resume, but because of your resonance. As they feel the weight of God upon your life, sense the purity in your words, and recognize the oil you carry, even if they cannot explain it. For this is the kind of rise that does not require promotion, but presence, God's presence. Just like David, who was not in the palace, not dressed for royalty, not even invited into the room, yet the prophet declared, "We will not sit down until he comes, because what is ordained for you cannot be skipped, and what God appoints, no man can overlook." David was called out from the field and anointed in front of everyone who had underestimated him. And chosen one, your next rise will not come because of marketing, but because of the mantle. Your influence will not be rooted in hype, but in holiness. And you do not have to prove anything, explain your calling, chase platforms, or beg for validation. Simply stand still and allow God to reveal the one he has been shaping in silence. Chapter 6. You are being blessed to be a blessing. Chosen one. And while this season of elevation may appear to be about you, It extends far beyond your personal gain. For what God is doing in your life right now is not merely a reward, but a release. A divine strategy unfolding. With you as the vessel, He has chosen to carry out something far greater than your own dreams. Yes, the blessings are real. The doors are opening. The favor is locating you in rooms you never applied to enter. And the resources are appearing even before you know how to ask for them. It is important to understand this profound truth. The provision of heaven is not granted based on one's status, but rather on one's willingness to serve. You are being strategically positioned to act as a vessel through which transformation can occur. The blessings that are coming your way are not intended for you alone. They are meant to flow through you to impact others. God is not merely filling your cup to satisfy your own needs. He is anointing you until your cup overflows. And that overflow should not be seen as surplus or excess. It represents a divine assignment and a calling to extend what you have received to those around you. There is someone who has been waiting quietly in the shadows, crying out in silence, yearning for a sign that God still listens. And now, here is the remarkable truth. You are that sign. You are the living answer to prayers you were never aware of. You are the breakthrough that someone else has been earnestly fasting and believing for. Your obedience to God's direction serves as a guiding light in another person's darkness. Everything you have endured, your survival, your personal growth, and the wisdom you have gained has not been in vain. It has all been divinely orchestrated to prepare you to become a sacred vessel, a delivery system through which hope, healing, and transformation are brought into the lives of others. You did not overcome simply so you could smile or enjoy relief. You overcame so that you could reach back into the very places you once struggled to help others find their way out. That is the reason you carry the spiritual authority and inner strength that you do today. It is also the reason you endured the trials and challenges that shaped your journey. Every storm you weathered refined the power of your voice. Every loss you suffered heightened your discernment. Every tear you shed consecrated your heart with deeper compassion. Now you carry within you exactly what others so desperately need, not because you are superior, but because you have chosen to be available. You have been willing to give, even when others withheld, willing to forgive, even when others clung to bitterness, willing to speak, even when silence felt safer, and willing to love, even when the world pressured you to shut down emotionally. And now God is elevating you, not for the sake of admiration, but for the sake of divine assignment. God knows He can trust you to pour into others without pride and to give generously without seeking recognition or glory. You see, blessings like the ones you are experiencing are not random. They are revelatory. They unveil and confirm the true nature of who you are at your core. You are not merely successful by the world's standards. You carry a spiritual fragrance, a distinct presence that marks your journey. You are not simply achieving victories. You are walking in fulfillment of a spoken word, a divine promise. God is using your life as a visible, moving testimony, a living, breathing example of His faithfulness, so that others may look at you and declare, "If God did it for them, He can surely do it for me." This is what legacy truly looks like, unfolding in real time. Your name will not be remembered because of the material possessions you acquired, but because of the hearts you impacted and the lives you transformed. It will not echo through generations because of the titles you held, but because of the testimony you carried and the truth you lived. People will remember you not merely for what you had, but for how you gave, generously and selflessly. They will remember how you listened with genuine compassion and how you stood tall in faith when others bowed to fear. The blessing upon your life is not limited to material abundance. It carries eternal significance. And make no mistake, the enemy has taken notice. The very individuals who once questioned your worth and underestimated your calling will now witness God multiplying your influence and expanding your impact. But it is crucial to understand that this blessing is not about revenge. It is about redemption. You were not raised up to prove your critics wrong. You were raised to prove that God was right all along. So remain generous, remain surrendered. Continue to allow God to work through you. As a fountain in the wilderness, offering refreshment and hope, and as a shelter in the storm, providing refuge and strength for those in need. The wisdom you carry within you is not incidental, it is vital. and someone's very soul is depending on it. The joy that is being restored to your spirit is not merely for your own renewal. It is intended to awaken others from the grip of despair. The financial provision that is on its way to you is not solely for your personal comfort or convenience. It is being entrusted to you so that you can bless others with radical generosity and purpose. Chapter 7. Richness Forever. This is just the beginning. Let that truth settle deeply within you. What you are experiencing is not temporary, nor is it a moment you will one day mourn when it fades away. This is not a fleeting emotional high followed by another inevitable valley. No, beloved and chosen one. What is unfolding in your life right now is not seasonal, it is foundational. This is not a short-lived spark destined to burn out. Rather, it marks the beginning of a divine flame, ignited by purpose and sustained by grace that will never be extinguished. You are stepping into something eternal, something deeply rooted, divinely sealed in the Spirit, and fully affirmed in heaven. The richness you are about to experience is not merely a matter of material wealth or possessions. It is a comprehensive abundance that touches every part of your being. It is a richness of the mind, a clarity and depth of thought. It is richness of purpose, where every step is aligned with divine intention. It is richness of peace, the kind that calms storms within and without. It is richness of identity, a grounded awareness of who you truly are. It is richness in how you love with depth and authenticity, in how you live with integrity and joy, and in how you show up in the world with confidence, grace, and power. This is what it means to walk in richness forever. This, however, does not imply that you will never face battles again. Challenges will still come. But the difference now is that you will no longer fight from a place of desperation. You will fight from a place of overflow. You now move forward with an unshakable assurance that you are backed by heaven itself. You have endured the dry places, those seasons of spiritual drought where progress felt distant and hope was tested. You have walked through the hidden years, where your efforts went unseen and your faith was refined in silence. You have whispered prayers that only heaven heard, and you have persevered through seasons where you were misunderstood, overlooked, and underestimated. But now, God has brought you to a divine turning point, a shift so profound that it will alter the course of your life permanently. This is not merely a favorable season. It is the entrance into an entirely new dimension of living. You have crossed over a threshold. You are no longer merely surviving. You are thriving, in full alignment with God's purpose for your life. You are no longer pleading for scraps or settling for less. Instead, you are seated confidently at the table that God Himself has prepared exclusively for you. And not only are you now seated at the table, partaking of the abundance God has prepared for you, you are also feeding others. Your overflow is becoming nourishment for those around you. The atmosphere of your life is shifting. The people in your circle are evolving. Your conversations carry greater depth, intentionality, and purpose. The energy surrounding you is becoming purer, more aligned with truth and peace. Opportunities are beginning to open without you having to force or pursue them. Doors are unlocking without the need for you to knock. Blessings are finding their way to you, not because you are striving or chasing, but because heaven is actively moving on your behalf. This is what happens when divine alignment takes hold. Your life begins to reflect what God promised, not what others predicted. Relationships in your life are now being aligned, not with your fears or past traumas, but with your future, with where you are going and who you are becoming. Resources are no longer being drawn to the areas of your pain or brokenness, but are now being assigned to support your divine purpose and calling. You are no longer running, no longer driven by fear, exhaustion, or uncertainty. You are rising, stepping boldly into your identity and assignment. You are no longer functioning from a mindset of mere survival. Instead, you are operating from the clarity and authority of a divine mandate. This is what true abundance looks like: abundance with purpose, joy with depth, and peace with permanence. Miracles are no longer rare occurrences in your life. They have become your new normal. You are no longer simply speaking about overflow as a distant hope or abstract concept. You are now living in it daily. You are not striving or struggling to receive a blessing. You have, in fact, become blessing to those around you. Your very presence carries weight. It shifts atmospheres, bringing peace, clarity, and transformation wherever you go. Your testimony is no longer centered on what you have lost, but on what you have learned, what you have gained, and now, what you are walking in. You are living proof of God's faithfulness, stepping fully into a reality shaped by growth, grace, and divine purpose. And here is perhaps the most humbling truth of all. God is not finished. What you are witnessing in your life right now is only the beginning. The blessings currently unfolding are not the conclusion of your story. They are merely the opening lines of an entirely new volume that heaven is writing on your behalf. There is still so much more ahead, more impact to be made, more revelation to be received, more restoration to experience, more clarity to walk in, more divine connections to embrace, and more doors to be opened in your favor. You have not reached your peak. Rather, you have simply positioned yourself for the true unfolding of everything God has prepared for you. So walk forward with boldness and confidence, knowing that this is your territory now. And as you move, do not speak life over yourself alone. Speak life into every room you enter, every heart you touch, and every atmosphere you encounter. Carry yourself with the authority of someone who has been tested and approved. Do not shrink back. Do not second-guess the anointing that rests on your life. You have not stumbled into this season by accident. You have earned it through obedience, even when it was costly. You have been prepared through pain, refined in the fire of trials, and equipped in the hidden, quiet places where no one else could see. And now, God is bringing you into the light, releasing you publicly for the assignment you were born to fulfill. And if your spirit is still longing for more, chapters to this unfolding journey, or a visual concept for a video, graphic, or thumbnail to amplify the message, just say the word. I'm here and ready to help bring your vision to life in a way that speaks with clarity, power, and purpose. Thanks for watching. Here ends this video. Take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. If you find this video interesting,